Okay. So, again, we are the main drivers of demand. Sabi nga, high power usage during the day and evening because of industrial and commercial operations. Lower usage on the weekends and higher usage during summer. I think I've reiterated this time and time again before na pagka summer kasi at mainit, not because we want to go to the beach during the summertime, kaya mas pataas yung demand, but because really, yung ating mga appliances or equipment such as particularly air conditioning units are highly utilized during summer. Hindi lang highly utilized. Like for example, if your air conditioning is working, let's say, kunwari, sa bahay, or kahit sa opisina na lang. You turn on your air conditioning and sabi mo ang temperature mo lang 24 degrees Celsius sa loob ng opisina. Magano yun, buong araw. And then di naman nagbago yung pagpasok mo ng office. Everyday kang pumapasok ng office. Summer lang. But because during summer mainit, alam niyo naman ang ginagawa ng air conditioning units, ulitin ko lang, it's trying to normalize the yung ating temperature, room temperature, nina-normalize niya to the temperature that you have set. So kung sinabi mo 24 degrees Celsius at malamig, let's say tag-ulan, ang temperature lang nung sa room initially is 27. So it's trying to just normalize the room temperature from 27 to 24. And then mini-maintain niya siguro, hindi masyadong malakas ang consumption ng air conditioning unit. Pero yung same air conditioning unit na yon tries to normalize temperature, let's say during the summer na nasa 33 degrees Celsius ang room temperature, ibababa niya sa 24. It will exert more effort. At the same, so ibig sabihin, more energy. So it will draw more energy and essentially, kaya dun tumataas talaga yung demand. For countries or areas na naka-experience ng lamig or snow, let's say, winter, sa kanila, ang high demand utilization nila is not during summer but rather during winter. Kasi sa kanila naman, yung mga heaters. Okay? Imbis na air conditioning unit, air heaters. Okay? So yun naman yung high consumption period nila. Okay. So this was back in June 10, 2010. Siguro pakita ako ng medyo mas up to date. Let's pakita ako ng real time. Share ko lang itong ito. Do you see my screen now? Another one. Okay. Nalaman ko sa chat kung may nakikinig eh. Nakikita ba yung screen ko? Okay. So let's ito yung website namin, no? But let's see yung what we posted in real time. Yan. Okay, kita nyo? So ito yung supply and demand trend natin for the past 4 days. Okay. So makikita natin na okay, demand really is ito medyo nagpi-peak. Nakita nyo 2100 which is at night. No? 9 PM pala. Hindi 1900, sorry. 9 PM nagpi-peak. Ano kayang ginagawa natin pag 1900, no? Afternoon peak is still around 1400, pero ito Like yesterday, dito, ang peak demand ng hapon. This is combined for Luzon and Visayas. Pero pagdating mo sa gabi, mas mataas pa at 9 p.m. And right now, ito, medyo na around 14 and 15. So trending towards mamaya na naman yan. Mataas na naman. Okay? So, this is our our supply and demand trend. And again, as I've said, it follows really try natin mag-focus sa isang araw. Yan. Try natin mag-focus sa wag today, 2 days. Yan. If you see it here, okay? Really, our human activity, but this is different, no? Kasi medyo nandito tayo sa special na period. We didn't anticipate. No one anticipates this kind of event, itong quarantine. No? So, medyo tumataas yung demand natin yan sa gabi. Okay? Pero sa daytime, baka mas marami yatang active sa gabi kaysa sa maghapon. No? Okay? So, that's our demand. Going back to the lecture. Okay? Load cycles create economic problems for power generation. It is quite expensive to continuously run all generation, which is needed to meet the peak power demands. Okay. Unit commitment. This is our main topic today. Commitment means to turn on a given generation unit. So ano ba yung commitment? You have to commit. So you want the generator to now operate at synchronous speed and that they connect to the system or the grid or the network. So sa economics, savings are gained by decommitting some of the generation units when they are not needed to meet the current load demand. The engineering problem is committing enough units to meet the current and future load demands while minimizing starting and operating costs. So syempre, you don't want what this says, hindi naman maghapon or buong araw kailangan mo ng oil-based plant or diesel kasi mahal yun eh. Pwede nang i-supply yon ng mga obviously ng ating mga coal-fired, natural gas, geothermal, and hydro. No? Kaya-kaya na nila yun. Hindi ko kailangan ng diesel or oil-based plant, which is expensive. Di ba? But there will come a time, syempre, lalo na sa peak demand, kapag medyo tight ang supply, that we need those diesel plants to run or oil-based plants to run. So you don't want them to run the whole day. You just want them to run during some hours in the day. Pero sabihin mo, hindi ba pwedeng, kunwari, what if ang kailangan lang talaga siya is at 2 p.m., di ba? So, hindi naman kaya nung, may mga oil-based plant, lalo na yung matanda na, hindi naman nila kayang parang isang oras lang tatakbo na sila. They have to commit themselves. Minsan kailangan 1 or 2 hours before they really synchronize. Okay? Before the actual hour na kailangan sila. So, with that, let's say kunwari 1400 siya kailangan. Pero kailangan niya tumakbo by 1200, alas 12. So kailangan niya na mag-prepare. Merong mas mura sa kanya by 1200, may mas mura. Pero kailangan ko kasi siya sa 2 p.m. Kaya kailangan patakbuhin ko na siya ng 12. So merong mababump off na possibly na cheaper generation because he has to synchronize at 12. Kasi kunwari, yun nga, sabihin ko if we have 5,000 megawatts and let's say ang generation na available is 5,100 megawatts. Tapos yung diesel plant is roughly, let's say, 80 megawatts yung diesel plant. Out of the 5,100 na capacity, 80 doon ay diesel. Tapos demand ko at 12 noon is 5,000. Pero come, let's say, 2 p.m. or 1400, ang demand ko magiging 5,000, let's say, 80. So if you look at it, beyond 5,000, yung 80 na yon diesel na magsusupply. Okay? By 1400. Pero dun sa before 2 p.m. at yung 12 5,000, hindi ko kailangan si diesel. Pero dahil meron siyang, let's say, 2 hours before it really is able to completely synchronize and be scheduled around its steaming, yung pagtakbo niya, kailangan ko na siyang patakbuhin at 12 noon. So yung 5,000 na yon, meron ako i-dislodge na some megawatts ng diesel na yon. So I will dislodge some number of megawatts there para lang makapasok muna si diesel and eventually maabot niya yung 80 megawatts na yun. Okay? By 1400. So this is the problem or yung mga load, different load cycles natin that creates that problem economically and sabi nga dito, create economic problems for power generation. So let's say, let's use this example. Consider the cost of operating 3 generating units. Ito yung equation niya. Yung kanyang cost or fuel cost is 561 plus 7.92 P1 plus 0.001562 P1 squared. So itong notes kong to galing so ito rupees. So hindi ito. So rupees per hour, hindi pesos per hour. So it says that that generation operates between 150 to 600. May Pmin siyang 150 and then meron siyang Pmax na 600. So ito naman sa unit 2 and eventually for unit 3. Now what is the best combination to supply a 550 megawatt let's say demand or load? Ignore muna natin yung losses, let's say load lang, no? So if you look at it, pwedeng-pwede na dito sa case na to, si generator 1 or unit 1, kayang-kaya na niyang supplyan on its own yung 550 megawatts. Kaya niya mag-isa, di ba? Supplyan yun. However, the problem is this is now a system reliability issue. Now, although exaggerated tong example na to, pero if you look at it, mga system operators natin does not want to operate operate the system with only a few generators. Like in this example, isa lang. Kasi pag yung isang generator na yan ay nag-trip, okay? Wala na. Blackout na tayo. Okay? So it is hard to maintain system reliability and stability with a few generator units synchronized. Gusto mo, ano yan parang sa generator, pag mayroong mga generator na possibly pag nag-trip, ay yung mga other generators will help pag nawala yon, will help the system recover. Ang tawag doon sa pag-help na yon at saka yung incident ng pag-react niya is yung sa generators is yung inertia. Okay? That's a different topic altogether. So let's say ito. Let's use, naalala niyo naman siguro yung truth table. Okay? Let's say 0, 0, 0 means off. Pag 1 means run or turn on. Given that table, obviously, pagka 0, 0, 0, walang tumatakbo, ang minimum gen and maximum gen natin 0, hindi nila kayang, syempre, isupply yung 550 megawatt load. Pag tinry naman nating 001 where that combination leads to only generator 3 running, hindi rin niya kaya mag-isa kasi 200 megawatts lang yung capacity niya kaya nakalagay dito sa right side, infeasible. Eventually, we get to the other generator pag unit 2, hindi rin kaya. Okay? Kasi 400 lang ang Pmax niya. Pag combination siya, yung 011 combination siya ng unit 2 and 3, kayang-kaya na. Combination ng dalawa, 200 and 400. That's 600 kaya. So we will now have a generation of 400 for P2 and then 150 for P3. Okay? Teka. May lagi nadi-disconnect si Mr. Petalper. Okay. Now, mangyayari dyan, yung given the equations before, kung 0 yung P1, wala rin, yung F1 niya, 0 din kasi wala siyang cost. Pero pag P2 tumatakbo, 400, papasok nyo lang din sa equation kanina. Okay? 400 times 7.85 plus 0.00194 times 400 squared. Yun yung magiging cost ng generator 2, F2. And then F3, sum mo lang yung dalawa, you get the final cost for operating generator 2 and 3. Yung isang combination, generator 1 lang ang tatakbo, yung 100 na combination ng truth table, kayang-kaya niya, siya lang ang tatakbo, siya lang ang may cost. Eventually, if you will look at FT, which is the total cost, you will see that it's cheaper than the first solution natin. And overall, when you see all the combinations, cheaper nga naman na yung generator 1 lang ang tatakbo. Okay? So ito, kaya naka-highlight in green. This is the cheapest cost. However, the least expensive way to supply generation is not with all 3 units running or with any combination involving 2 units. The optimal commitment is to only run unit 1, the most economic unit. By running only the most economic unit, the load can be supplied by that unit operating closer to its best efficiency. Siyempre, ang generator, ang best efficiency niya when it's running at full load. Again, ganun lagi. Parang kotse, mas efficient siya at full na run, which is around 80 to 90. No? Pag sinasagad mo more than that, siyempre magastos na. If you're running only because may traffic, if you're running only at lower speeds, medyo hindi rin efficient yun. Okay? Right now, pag ako nag-travel to the office, no? Dating 2.5 hours of travel, now is only 25 minutes diretso from house to office. Walang ka-traffic, no? Very efficient, mas efficient na yung sasakyan ko lately, no? But this is not the kind of situation you would really want to happen. Really, itong quarantine is really affecting every one of us, no? If another unit is, by only running the most economic unit, okay, best efficiency. If another unit is committed, syempre, pag kinumit mo yung isang unit, kailangan mo ibaba yung unit na isa. Yung unit 1, kanina, 600 siya, 550 na siya. 600 ng capacity, 550 siya tatakbo. It's close to its Pmax. Pero pagka kunwari, tinry mong i-synchronize kunwari si generator, let's say 1, which is 150 ang Pmin, babawasan mo ngayon si, generator 1 nga pala yung na-synchronize na 550. Let's say, pasok natin si unit 2 at 550 yung load, bababa ko si unit 1 to 450 para makapasok si unit 2 na at least at 100. So what that really leads to is you are leading them away from its best efficiency points. Kaya mas mataas yung net cost. But from a reliability consideration, ito ang sinasabi ko, more units should be committed to the system. Okay? So normally, ang challenges talaga sa challenge lang talaga sa unit commitment is yung mga peaks and valleys ng demand. Balik tayo dun sa sa kanina pinapakita ko. So, ibig sabihin ng peaks and valleys, ito. Sige, mag-focus lang tayo ng isang araw. Okay. Medyo hindi lang masyadong obvious dito kasi mababa talaga demand lately. So, we will have a valley and then again reach a peak. And then paggabi, we will reach another valley. Okay? So, yung sudden increase and eventually decrease in demand. Okay? So yung mga yon challenge yon kasi kapag may nag-try ako magbaba ng pag bumaba yung demand, kailangan kong magbaba ng generation. And that can lead to some generators being decommitted or being shut down. And when that happens, pagdating nung next hour, no, ito kunwari, bababa. Pagdating nung next na period, tataas, kailangan ko uli siya. Eh kaya lang sinutdown mo na siya. Kung sinutdown mo na siya, sabi daw, ang minimum downtime daw niya, 4 hours. Eh kung titingnan mo yung scenario na gano'n, kung 4 hours siya, baka baka kulangin na ako. So that's really the challenge for a 24-hour period. So for those running a unit commitment principle na market, ang ginagawa talaga, because napoproject mo nang kailangan mo siya dito, and kailangan mo siya dito sa period na mataas before and kailangan mo siya sa mataas after, you try to maintain that generation, maybe not at the maximum but rather lowered lang, pero hindi mo i-decommit. Papatakbuhin mo pa rin siya kasi kailangan mo siyang synchronize or kailangan mo siyang available by the time na after the valley or yung baba ng demand. So that is really the challenge really of generation. That's why you're trying to solve that problem in demand cycles with unit commitment. In order to optimize the operation of the system, units must be shut down as load goes down. Then the units must be recommitted as load goes up. O yun. So yun yung sinabi ko. Okay? Simple approach to the solution is a simple priority list scheme with the following rule. When the load is above 1,000 megawatts, run all 3 units. Pag between 600 and 1,000, run units 1 and 2. If it's loading below 600, only run unit 1. So ito yun. So this is a simple priority list rule. So what are the constraints of unit commitment? The primary constraints are enough units should be committed to supply the load and the losses, so yung demand economically. Additional constraints in unit commitment, how do you commit reserves, particularly spinning reserves? Okay? How do you consider mga thermal constraints ng generation? Minimum uptime, minimum downtime. What are the crew constraints? What are the hydro constraints? Siyempre, hindi naman unlimited yung tubig na nasa dam. What are the constraints? Okay? Meron din yung mga multipurpose dam natin na siyempre hindi pwedeng magpakawala ng tubig dahil yung baba niya, yung downstream niya is irrigation. Like dito sa atin sa San Roque, sa North Luzon. So, ang pwede lang niyang pakawalan na tubig is 880, if I remember, megawatt hours. Yun yung equivalent in energy ng power. So, more than that, lulunurin na yung tubig sa irrigation, yung kanilang mga farm sa baba. Pag nalunod yun, galit na galit syempre yung farmers kasi alam niyo naman ang farming, it takes a while for them to be grown and then eventually kung sisirain mo yung livelihood na yun. So, may constraints rin ganun. How about must run? There are some generators that should be run to support the system. Like for example, may bumabang voltahe, merong thermal limitation sa isang linya, and we also have obviously fuel constraints. How much na can it really support in a day? Baka mamaya low on fuel na. The unit commitment solution is one of its solution is to use. Hindi ito yung sample lang to. There are many solutions to unit commitment, and this is one. Is to use a priority list method. Consists of a simple shutdown rule obtained by an exhaustive enumeration of all unit combinations at each load level, or obtained by noting the full load average cost of each unit. Paano ba kinukuha yung full load average production cost? You just multiply the heat rate at full load times the fuel cost. Various enhancements can be made to the priority list scheme by grouping of units to ensure that various constraints are met. Ano ba yung mga typical shutdown rules natin? At each hour, when load is dropping, determine whether dropping the next unit on the list leaves sufficient generation to supply the load plus the reserve requirement. If the supply is not sufficient, kuwari, dinicommit mo yung isang generator, tapos yung mga susunod na oras na wala siya, na dinicommit mo siya, kaya pa ba ng system? If yes, okay lang, decommit mo na. If no, keep it committed. Maybe at the minimum. Siyempre, yung payment niya. Okay? Determine the number of hours before the unit is needed again. If the time is less than the minimum shutdown time for the unit, keep it committed. Perform a cost comparison, the sum of the hourly production cost for the next number of hours with the next unit to be dropped being committed. And the sum of the restart cost for the next unit based on the minimum cost of cooling the unit or banking the unit. Guys, mawala na naman. I-ano ko na, ilalog out ko na. Tapos join agad kayo ha. Mabilis lang. Para hindi na ako makat. Last na part yung susunod.